Hi, everybody. Tom Canning here with Damian Scurr. Hello, Damian. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. I'm good. I've just, for anybody watching on the video, you'll notice a new Berkshire flag hanging up behind me. I've only stuck it with sellotape, so I'm fairly certain it'll fall down halfway through this. I'm in the process of trying to make the backdrop to my videos better. Damien, you've got yours well sorted out. Football shirts everywhere.
Yeah.
What would be the one right behind you that you told me that was Pangbourne?
So there's a Pangbourne youth shirt here. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's Pangbourne, so one of the teams that we supply kits for. And there's a Ascot United shirt there. And we've got a range of different football kits in this meeting room / studio for the day.
So, Damien, I'll explain to the listeners a little bit about why we're talking to you. But you are the sort of football kit account manager for Serious Sport, and Serious Sport is based over in Basingstoke, North Hampshire. We're calling it North Hampshire because it makes it sound like it's closer to us. But for the last few months, we've been talking about what we can all do together, and part of this podcast is to tell the listeners a little bit about the partnership between Football in Berkshire and Serious Sport. We are getting together to get people Wembley ready. And we'll talk all about Wembley, how you got into football kits and what your real kind of how you ended up making football kits and your kind of your business's real passion, which I guess is cricket, but it's come across and it's changed, and now we're into football kits and we're looking to help you guys, and you guys are looking to help us. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, Damien, you are no stranger to local football.
I'm not.
You are a goalkeeper. You coach goalkeeping.
That's right.
That's a tough task. Goalkeepers are nuts, aren't they?
Yeah,
I have met you in person, and I can confirm you are not crazy. But
but I am big.
Yes, you would fill a goal. Less you aren't getting lobbed unless you are ridiculously out of position.
No.
Let's put it that way.
No, not. It didn't happen too many times. I'm sure it probably did. But yeah. I used to play in goal. Started out as a younger days. I played as a centre back, youth football for Shore Boys back in the day when Shore Boys were a team. And then always played at the back and scored plenty of goals with my head being one of the bigger ones. And then I just kept growing really, so I just ended up in goal, if I'm honest.
Was it kind of something you always wanted to do, or was it just happened and there you stayed?
I think it just happened really, to be honest. I sort of wish now, looking back, that perhaps it had been something I'd have started out earlier on. I'd say I was probably all right in goal, and a little bit more sort of technical direction from an early age, I could have probably been a lot better, I think. But yeah, that's where it sort of came from. I went in goal and was all right at it, and then just progressed through. Played a little bit for in younger days. Played for Kimbry in the Allied Counties when I was younger, but I think I was centre back then, and then played for my local team, which we sort of maybe move on to talk about Frilsham, and they. Then I played Hungerford for a little bit, only for a short spell, and then ended up at Thatcham for a little while, and then back to Frilsham. So yeah,
so it's a proper West Berkshire tour, really.
West Berkshire tour, and then coached my lads Thatcham Town Harriers teams from under 7s all the way through to under 18s, and we were one of the most successful sort of youth teams in the area at the time. We just kept moving leagues to get better competition, so we did all right. We did quite well, yeah. So. Yeah, all local stuff, really. So I'm certainly still involved with football now. I am that person that still, is the secretary and sorts out the kit and myself. So I know what's involved. So I get people's pain. So it's quite nice. I'm probably not just your average salesman, because I understand what's involved in terms of running a club and organising all these things. And I think, as the saying goes, if you want something doing, you find a busy person. And I certainly appreciate that there are certain people in clubs that do that, and that's why I sort of understand why we need to make the process as simple as possible when ordering football kits and stuff like that. Really, so.
It's we'll obviously we'll talk a bit about what we're kind of proposing and what people can do and how they can save a little bit of money on this season's football kit and the kind of things they can do. But we'll talk a little bit about Frilsham and Yattendon, but I know,
Yeah.
I know. You told me an interesting story about Frilsham and Yattendon getting kits, because they weren't wearing serious sport kits. Is that right? If I remember rightly.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So they weren't originally wearing serious sports kits. Although saying that, over the years we have worn. Going back to where the story started in terms of football kits, I was originally from Toga Sports, that people may remember back in the day. Toga Sports came and we were supplying like almost I would say cheap football kits, really. So we've gone through those good quality but cheap football kits. And then, some of the guys that were helping out, so they got a good deal on a different kit. And so over the years, not worn serious sport kit, but yeah.
I'll talk to you about sort of quality of kits and stuff. I guess when we get on to chatting about serious sports, because it's a really interesting one. Because let's part this for a minute. I want to just go through sort of Frilsham and Yattendon a bit, because it's I suppose most of the people listening to this podcast might be familiar with the area, but in terms of Berkshire, it's a long trek, and it's sort of more North Berks League, if I remember rightly, and that's not something we've massively covered in the past, and perhaps we're hoping to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the league we're playing in now. Over the years, again, a lot of the people that are listening in now will definitely recognise Frilsham Yattendon, because for years they played in the Reading Combination League, which then moved to basically the Reading League. Which is now the Thames Valley Premier League. So for years we played in that. I played in that myself for a long time. And we're relatively successful. We made it to what was then the senior division, and we had to put a lot of plans in place to upgrade the facilities, the changing rooms, and quite a lot of investment, really, even at step 7. And it's quite tough, as a local village team competing with those big teams in Reading. All the teams that everybody will be familiar with. We've definitely played against them over the years, and I would say we probably punched above our weight for quite a long time, really, in the Reading area. So we did okay, yeah, and then gradually, sort of things came to a little bit of a, things slowed down a bit, and we decided to have a break for a year. Took a bit of time out, and then, as you say, we sort of relaunched recently into the North Berks League, which. So the North Berks League basically comes from the old boundaries, as far as I know. It's like the old boundaries when they all shifted. So effectively, it's more on the edge of Berkshire now, and goes into Oxfordshire quite a lot. So it's a lot of the A34 corridor, which actually from us is relatively straightforward to get to, and it's full of nice little clubs with their own grounds. They've all got their own grounds, and they've all got their own little bar and clubhouses, and it's a little bit of a throwback in time, really. And it's probably, in terms of, if anyone's ever been to Frilsham, and again, I'm sure people will have done, and they'll recognise it. But it's based in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, really. But it's a lovely setting. It's as I say, it's in the middle of the woods, and it's at the back of the top end goal is a deer park. So it's a pretty picturesque setting. So everybody always enjoys coming there. But yeah, we're now in the north, what's called the North Berks League.
And so there was you said to me before that the team had kind of come back together, and you'd got a few of the old boys in and worked your way up the leagues, and you were still playing until quite recently.
Yeah, I was. Not that long ago now. I've definitely had it now myself. Knees and ankles, it's all taken a toll on it. And being 6'6", you just can't keep doing it. And so the knees and ankles have gone now. But I did play till relatively recently. And yeah, as you say, some of the guys that we were successful with back in the Reading League when we did well in that league were players like we have Callum Wilmoth and Jamie Green and Mark Green, and these are all players that played at Russell Benham in and around the Thatcham area, that are all good lads that enjoyed playing at the club probably towards the end of their careers for Tadley and Thatcham and Hungerford and Newbury. So yeah, players that have certainly been around the block, have played for Frilsham over the years. Back in the day, when I was still playing, and probably in my prime, we had quite a good side with, and many people will recognise names like Dave Mooney and Sam Mooney and Freddie Stevens, Nicky Voller. They're all players that played sort of back in the day. They all played for that, for the Newbury team that was successful, and Thatcham, Huey Roski, and players like that. They're all names that people recognise. So they've all played for Filsham over the years. So we've certainly, we've done well for ourselves over the years. And then recently, as you say, as you sort of alluded to then, Tom, just during probably lockdown, COVID, I think everyone was like fed up and said, look, we need to give this a go. We're all pushing 40 now. Some of the older heads said, we'll give this a go again. So we got together, we entered the North Berks League and the bottom league, and we got promotion for that. We then got promoted to the next league, to Division 2, and won that. And then all of a sudden found ourselves in the top division, which is a very highly competitive league, with a load of players which are now pushing 45. So unfortunately, they've decided that actually it may be a little bit too much to play in what is a good standard of football. So quite a few players knocked it on the head, and we sort of found ourselves now looking for a new team, which we did. We got through the season last season, very tough season. We got through it. Credit to a lad called Cameron Philby. He's come in because he's stuck with it. He's worked really hard. He's kept it together. It would have been easy just to throw it in and say, do you know what, we'll give up. But the lads that turned up every week, they did us proud, really, and got through the season. And now we're all systems go. We've gone down the league. We're probably where we need to be at the moment, ready to rebuild. We've just got a grant from the Football Foundation, which has been brilliant to buy, some equipment, to spend some money on the pitch, and it's looking all right. So yeah, it's all right in terms of football on a Saturday there. So it's all good.
Oh well, watch this space, I guess, and we'll be following Filsham and Yattendon this season anyway. So excited to see what goes on there. Right, let's talk a little bit about what then happened on the business side of things, because I kind of said at the start, serious sport was very much cricket. In fact, I mentioned this to you. I saw a friend of mine on Sunday who'd come all the way down from Preston, and he was wearing his cricket top for just leisure wear.
Grimsar top, wasn't it?
Grimsar, yeah, Grimsar,
yes.
Yeah. If he does listen to this, I've probably completely butchered the pronunciation of it, but
yeah,
it was the serious sport logo on it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So as I say, very very big in cricket, fairly new to football. I think there's an interesting story about how you ended up producing the Ascot United kit.
In terms of the original kit, or
how you guys ended up making Ascot United's kit last season.
When you say the interesting story, which one are you thinking of? There's a couple, but tell me which one you're thinking of in particular.
Let's go for the broadcastable one then.
The one with the so obviously we're as you've mentioned there, with the suppliers for Ascot United, it's been a really good relationship as from both parties, I think. And as you say, we've now been doing it for the last season, and it's not just, obviously, we talk about Ascot United, we're not just talking about their first team that made it to Wembley. We're talking about I think it's about 80, maybe more teams now within the club, with the youth setup and the girls and ladies. So yeah, but we did supply the kit for Ascot last season. And we were the suppliers of the Wembley kit, which went really, really well all the way through. No hiccups at all.
Now I know that's not true. So obviously the kit throughout this, and I know so when we've spoken before, you've alluded to sort of there's no real limit to what you can do, what you can print on a shirt, what you can create, and the Ascot one actually is fairly straightforward.
It's really straightforward. It's a very less is more sometimes. It's very basic. It's obviously Ascot of old. That's their colour. As you say, clubs can have anything really. So that flag behind you there, the Berkshire flag, we can take that and we can print that on material. It isn't a problem at all. So yeah, all clubs can design on our kit builder, or just send us a design, any bespoke design, and we can transfer it effectively onto material and can make it. But as I say, the Ascot one is a simple design. So what you were alluding to there was, I think, probably the fact that obviously we've made the Ascot kit for the cup final.
Yes.
It was quite a lengthy process. Myself and the guys at, Abby was brilliant, and Joe.
I'll tell you what. Just before you go on to this one, I've just found the training kit, which I've just popped up for watchers of the video version of this on YouTube, and that you were able to go a little bit more crazy on this. There's a lot more patterns, a lot more designs in that.
If you think the match kit's a basic design, a nice design, but a basic design, the training kit most definitely is, and it's very, very jazzy.
Yes, it's lots of blues, lots of whites. It looks absolutely great, and it certainly stands out from a crowd. So just our video watchers will have been able to see that one. I'll see if I can find a way to stick that in the show notes. Sorry, Darren, I interrupted you there. I was doing some downloading while you were talking.
A very good example of a really good example of what can be done, and like I said, we can do pretty much anything now on a shirt. But what I was going to say was, obviously the lead up to Wembley was relatively, it was an exciting prospect for the team playing at Wembley. It was a lot of work, because there's a lot of guidelines that you've got to sort of adhere to. A lot of from Wembley, from the FA, from sponsors, from, there's all this stuff that you've got to get right on the kit. So not only does the kit got to be obviously the right design, but also you've got all these different, numbers have got to be a certain size, sponsor prints got to be a certain size. You can only have a certain amount of sponsor prints, because obviously you can't go decked out in every single sponsor going anymore, because there's rules are rules. So so we worked very hard, and there's a lot of, as the account manager, a lot of to and fro in, and hopefully that's the the bit where we go the extra mile really with service. When you got with service at Sirius, if you've got us as account manager, we will do that, and we can coordinate that, which did with Joe. We spent a lot of time chatting it through and emailing each other about all the details, all requirements, and signing off visuals left, right, and centre. And actually, I'll let you into a little secret. So you only allow one manufacturer brand on the match shirt at Wembley, and obviously our S here, this is our brand, and we always have one on the back neck. Which, if you see any of our garments, there's always an S on the back neck. When the final shirt was produced, you got on there. There it is. That's the one.
No. It's this. So this one doesn't. This was a real.
That's a real one.
A real match.
That's
this is a real
one,
match.
is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the. Sorry, I'm just showing this to the video listeners again. But it doesn't have the S on the. Oh no! It does. Misrepresenting you. There you go. So this is
the one. Actually, it's a very good. You can hold it up there, Tom, if you like. So this is the point we're talking about. So this is an actual Wembley shirt that was produced, and to my horror, just a few days before, I realised that we'd left our standard S on the back. So I was thinking, well, there's every chance we're going to get away with that. They're not going to be stopped from playing at Wembley just because of an S. But the bottom line is, I want Joe and all the guys at Ascot to be, Jamie Tompkins. I want him to look at it and be completely happy with what he got and what we were going to deliver. So we remade the whole lot within a few days, and it took a lot of doing and a lot of work, and everybody, all the guys at Sirius, all the production team, they, everybody sort of did their bit to turn it around again, because it had to be right. So it's that's the beauty of using a local supplier, and I delivered it, still on time, still every player had a match shirt and kit and all of the training kit all ready to go, and it looked amazing. So it all turned out all right, but just little things, and it was only a tiny thing. And actually, when we were there on the day, I see Newport Pagnell. I think they probably had one on the back of their shirts anyway. But we got it right, and Ascot were completely happy with it all, and they went and won, didn't they? So
yes, there's some incredible photos, and those photos and them wearing your kit will go down in history for as long as history goes on for. Have you had direct response to what you produced from that day? Has that had a tangible effect on your business?
Yeah, massively. I think it's in footballing terms, it's I guess if you don't watch anything outside of the top leagues, you would think, well, it's not the FA Cup. But, for everybody listening to this, it's massive. The FA Vars, and the FA Trophy are, they're huge. So that it has massively, and I think the knock-on effect in terms of what we did, and it wasn't. We did a nice, lead up to the shirt was huge. We did a supporter shirt as well. We did a really nice bespoke mid layer, which, so the club sort of said, well, we want something different, something completely different to walk out, which we designed and made. So straight away, on all the social media channels, people are then messaging saying, where can I get that? And how do I get my hands on this sort of thing? So yeah, it has definitely made a difference, and it's. We're getting inquiries now because people can see that, we can deliver. So yeah, it certainly has.
I've noticed in recent years, and there was a really good article on The Athletic about a year ago about a brand. Is it Castor?
Yeah,
who were designing kits for the likes, I think Newcastle,
Yeah.
and I want to say Everton, but I'm not. No, Everton was Hummel, but for
Hummel, yeah.
years and years and years, it was you kind of Umbro, Adidas, and probably Nike, wasn't it? That everybody wore, and they have 5 or 6 new templates every year, and at the end of the season, those templates go out of print. So any club that wants those kinds of things just completely. You can't get them again.
You can't. No, they're discontinued, and exactly right. And again, I'll go back to my own example in that I've bought kits over the years, and I've worked with suppliers who are dealing with suppliers, and it's a massive issue. Once it's gone, and they need to order some more in from Germany if it's Adidas or wherever. And actually, the mid seller, you're caught in the middle. So I wouldn't personally want to be a mid seller because. You're almost going back to your customer saying there's really nothing I can do. Whereas at least now, when it's bespoke and it's made to order, it can't go out of. It's never going to be out of stock, and it's certainly never going to be discontinued until you tell us to stop. Really, so that's the beauty of it, really.
Damian, you said the big word there, bespoke. Now, bespoke to me means expensive. I remember from years and years ago when Bracknell Town used to have a quartered kit, and we managed to buy them. They cost us as supporters roughly 45 quid each. And this was probably 2 decades ago. So that was what you would be paying for sort of £70-80 for these days, I guess. You've got I wanted to raise the example of FC Bracknell that used to have Argentina stripes and had to stop that and go to a light blue because they couldn't get cheap stripes, but also you've had that Windsor, that famous Union Jack Windsor kit, which is very much love or hate, and that those jerseys would have cost an awful lot. So bespoke to me means expensive. Can you obviously without necessarily, because prices are your own business, but can you give me some kind of comparisons about what kind of sort of what we're looking at in terms of kind of kit prices and stuff like that? Because bespoke to people means well, why don't we just get why don't we just get 15 plain shirts from Sports Direct?
Yeah, exactly right. And I agree. I agree the perception of it, and actually you're right in terms of the price of kits years ago, and probably in your head you had a ballpark figure of give us I need 15 and a goalkeeper, and in your head you had this idea, and it was going to take ages to come. And I think there's a mentality around football that takes ages, and actually that's purely because they're waiting on suppliers to get stock in, and as you say, so there's 2 sides to it really, Tom. So it's sublimated, just so everyone's aware. So we talk about sublimated kits. It's just basically where you're not going to have any embroidery or print on top of it. So all the the embroidered badges, which rub your bits and pieces, or your printed badges which crinkle and wash off, they're gone now. So sublimation really means it's inked into the fabric. So it's all within the fabric. So it starts off as a white piece of fabric, and it's sublimated in. It's effectively taking a photocopy and copying it onto material. So that, just to clarify what sublimated is I'm sure I'm telling people to suck eggs, but if you don't know that, then that gives you an idea.
I do like though embroidered badge.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about the
Yeah,
rubbing
yeah.
and everything, but an
Yeah.
embroidered badge, and
Well,
I
if you
know
look at,
you can do embroidered badges as well, can't
we
you?
can do. You can still do an embroidered badge on top if you want. If you look at that ascot shirt that you've got there,
Yes.
or we can look at the one I've got here. Actually, that hasn't got one on there. But if you look, so
Oh,
ascot
yes. So it
they
has, yeah.
still go for the badge on top because
Yeah.
that's what they like. So there it is. So you've still
Yeah.
got the badge on top.
I
But
do
you don't
like
have to.
I do like an embroidered badge. It feels right.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, so sublimated is that's what sublimated is. If you want to, you can still go for the print and embroidery on top. That just gives you an idea of that. Is bespoke sounds expensive, and normally you're talking about, when you talk about bespoke kits, in my mind, and I'm pretty sure yours as well, it means you've got to order a minimum of about 50 of them, and they're going to come in from abroad on a ship from somewhere. So that's normally the route of bespoke. But so ours are made on site here in Hampshire, which is, we're based in Dummer, which is near Basingstoke. They're all made on site by the seamstresses and the sublimation team here. And to give you an idea, so as a starting cost for a short sleeve shirt, a little bit like this Pangborn one here for the young short sleeve shirt, with a pair of what I would call stock royal blue or whatever colour stock shorts you wanted to go with that, or and a pair of yellow socks, you would be looking at a starting price of about £34.99, so £35. And that's shirt, shorts, and socks, and that can be completely your own bespoke kit, really.
Fantastic. Well, that seems like a really good moment to move on to the point, kind of, I suppose, of our partnership. So, David, shall I can talk people through it, or what's going on. And what I don't want this to come across as is a big advertising podcast, which is not. We are Football in Berkshire and Series Sport are getting together for the foreseeable future to produce and be able to allow football clubs to have bespoke kits, to be able to have and build club shops, to be, as a form of revenue generation. I think Slough do an absolutely fantastic one. They have a fantastic club shop with all the shirts on the walls and stuff, and it's something I don't think you see enough of around.
At local level,
yeah.
I think is probably what we're trying to say, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Exactly right.
I'm a terrible one for going in a club shop, and if there is a decent price on a club shirt, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to purchase one. I've bought shirts for £5 out of bargain boxes in Northern Ireland and all this, but I think getting club shirts on supporters is a really important part of spreading the word of our game, and I think part of the reason at times people don't do it is because they just can't get the shirts, and so these days you could set up an online store on your club website. You could, you guys do stores as well. You can set these up a little similar to kind of what Macron do as well. Macron do club stores as well.
Yeah.
Sorry to mention another
Mate, honestly,
another kit supply.
It's fine. Yeah, everyone definitely knows they're out there, and it's no problem at all. Everyone knows they're there.
I think they're probably the big supplier of kits in this.
Macron and Joma, yeah. They'd be the other ones at the moment. Yeah. They're doing really well. It's all pretty good stuff. It's all relatively affordable. The biggest thing I'd probably say that people would agree with that are listening is just getting it in, from Italy and Spain. But it is good stuff. Yeah, really good. I've certainly used all of that, and it's all absolutely fine. No problem at all.
It's good to be able to have that conversation. But no, so being able to sort of stock a club shop almost, and especially if it's a kit that you're not going to change maybe for 2 or 3 years, you can get that stock in. You can see that as another form of raising some money for your club, and also raising the profile of your club. I remember when Binfield were in the Vars final 2 years ago, just driving through the village, every single kid was walking around Binfield in their Binfield junior football shirt. It was amazing, and like, you want to see that. That's
the
what
same.
you want to
and
see.
the same with me, like, local to me is Thatcham. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. All right, yeah. It was a Macron kit, as you say, but everybody's wants to try and get one. And if you've got access to it, if you've got a shop that people can click on and order one, then great. And we can do that. I think you were just about to allude to that we can.
Yes.
We can set up team stores, and hopefully the relationship between us will get a good relationship, and that's what it's about. Is that we'll just make it more accessible and more easy, and let people know that it's there and understand the process. Maybe if we can do that, then locally, I would say there's you'll drive around and you'll see a lot of our kits everywhere. But let's open it up so that people can have the opportunity to design their own kit and wear it and order it and stuff. So yeah.
Completely by chance, when I did meet yourself and Tom, who's your colleague in the pub, a
He's
couple
just
of
had a
weeks
baby,
ago.
we should say. So
yes, congratulations, Tom. But when we met him, quite coincidentally, we did see someone wearing a Serious Sport kit in the pub.
Yeah,
that wasn't planned. It was just there. So I guess what I wanted to say though was the partnership between us means that any Berkshire Football Club going in and purchasing Serious Sport kit, whether it's a team wear, whether it's match day wear, whether it's jackets, whatever it is, will get, if you're Berkshire based, you will get 20% off bespoke football kits and team wear. I can't remember if we said you have to mention football in Berkshire, but if you do, that's handy. And Damian will reduce 20% off the price. There is a website you can go to, and I'll stick that in the link, which will generate 20% off anyway. And additionally to that, anybody placing an order before the 1st of September will win. Sorry, not anybody. One.
Not anyone's going to win. One lucky winner.
one team that places an order before the 1st of September will win 15 mid-layers. So that is your match day kind of jacket that you go to the match in. Will win 15 mid-layers worth £500, and that's if you place an order before the 1st of September. This is ideal for your Sunday league clubs across Berkshire. This is ideal for all of the women's teams that we follow, from the Southern region to the Thames Valley Premier League, junior teams across the region, and we will also include those clubs that we sort of loosely follow as well. Your Tadleys, your Virginia Waters, Wallingford and Cromarsh, all of those. If there are teams in those areas, just mention, and you've listened to this podcast, mention football in Berkshire. Go to the website that's in the notes.
You're more than welcome to, if I am more than happy to give my email address now, drop me a line and ask me any questions, really. Come direct to me. It's not a problem. So
sure, we'll pop that in the show notes. So anybody that wants to just find out a bit more about Damian, get in touch with Damian. I am sure Damian can be haggled with as well if you're buying a bit more than just one team's kit. I'm sure there is room for manoeuvre as well. I've probably just put words into his mouth and I'm going to hit his profit margin. There we go.
We can have a discussion. I'm always open to discussion, and it's always good to speak to people that, people involved in football, and that's the joy of this job. You enjoy doing this, Tom, and it's no different to me, really. I'm sort of well involved with football, and I deal with people that are well involved with football every day. Obviously, clubs range in sizes that we deal with, and some, as I say, are as big as your Ascots and your Wargrave Women and Girls is another big one that we deal with the kits for. As I've mentioned there behind us, Pangbourne Youth and some big local clubs that we'll deal with, but we're more than happy, and it makes no difference to us to deal with the local football teams, and we're keen to do that and do that more, really, to be honest.
I'm really excited to see what comes out. Damian, we'll be in touch. I have no doubt. Is there anything you wanted to add? Have I missed anything off?
No, not really. I think it's been a nice chat, Tom, and I think we covered quite a lot in that, really. And hopefully it's useful. Hopefully it's like I said, it's a bit of an insight into what we can do. As you said, if anyone's listening, and the good thing about with us as well is that, as you mentioned, your friend came down. We are quite a big national, company in cricket, as well as football and rugby. And hockey and netball, and we're growing in all those areas now. But there's always an overlap because, again, it's always the same people. Not always, but within the clubs, for my sins, I'm also a cricket person, and I run the cricket team and chairman of the cricket league and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you speak to people, and a lot of the people that come to us now for football will say, "I've come to you because we've had such a good experience with the cricket side of things." So I've just done a big order this week for Brockenhurst, for example. They're playing
lovely part of the world,
Wessex League in the Forest. So they, they're a decent stand, but they came on the back of a cricket recommendation. I've just been working an order through for Whitchurch United as well, who there's some people within the club that have involved with in cricket and stuff. So, sports people do chat, and if you have a good experience, then you're gonna want to do it again. And if we can help you out, we certainly will.
Damian, thanks ever so much for your time. We're hopefully going to do a few more of these sorts of podcasts, talking with people kind of involved in the various business parts of local football, because it's not all volunteers. There is serious business here. So we're going to try and talk to a few more people like Damian. Damian, we are working, as I say, as a partnership going forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. All of the Football in Berkshire team as well are being kitted out in serious sport. So look out for us. If you want to, if anybody wants to ask about them and you see one of us at any games, do drop us. You'll notice and you'll see the logo. So, feel free. Damian, thank you ever so much for your time. We'll talk again soon, mate.
Yeah, be in touch. Speak to you soon.